welcome to our deep dive into the world of pre-Socratic philosophy.
I know you're fascinated by Anaxagoras,
Yeah.
and judging by the stack of academic papers that you sent over.
Oh, yeah?
We have got some serious linking to do. Our mission is to crack open the core of Anaxagoras' ideas,
Right.
figure out where he sits in the grand scheme of philosophy, and hopefully walk away with some mind-blowing aha moments.
Yeah.
What's really capturing my imagination is this concept of nous,
Right.
this intelligence woven into the fabric of the cosmos.
Yes.
I mean, he was pondering this centuries before more structured ideas about God emerged.
Yeah.
I think we're in for a wild ride.
I think so, too. It really is groundbreaking. I mean, think about it. Most pre-Socratics were busy looking for the universe's basic material building blocks.
Right.
It was water,
Yeah.
fire.
Yeah.
They were looking for that one fundamental element.
Right.
But Anaxagoras throws this curveball called nous into the mix.
Right.
This intelligence that acts as an ordering principle.
In the universe.
Yeah.
He's not just looking at what things are made of, but also how they got organized in the first place.
Right.
It's a whole new level of philosophical inquiry.
Okay. I'm hooked. So let's dive into this nous.
Okay.
What exactly is it? And what are its defining characteristics?
Well, from what I've gathered from the research you've provided, nous is immaterial, meaning it's not made up of any physical substance.
Okay.
It's also indivisible, can't be broken down into smaller parts.
Right.
And get this, it possesses complete knowledge of everything.
Well,
But here's the real head scratcher. This immaterial nous somehow acts upon the material world,
right.
setting things in motion.
Okay.
And this raises some fascinating questions about how mind and matter interact.
Right.
Questions that philosophers are still grappling with today.
Wow. It's incredible how these ancient ideas
Yeah.
still resonate with us today.
Yes.
So how does this immaterial nous actually interact with the physical world?
Right.
Does Anaxagoras provide any clues?
He does. And this is where his theory of seeds comes into play.
Oh,
Anaxagoras believed that everything in the universe is composed of these tiny, indivisible particles called seeds.
okay.
Think of it like this.
Yeah.
Imagine a Lego set where each brick represents a different quality,
Okay.
color, shape, size.
Mm-hmm.
The seeds are like those bricks, and the way they combine creates all the different objects we see around us.
Okay. So the seeds are like the raw material,
Yes.
and the Anaxagoras is the master architect arranging them into the complex structures that we see in the universe.
That's a great way to put it. Anaxagoras acts upon the seeds, bringing out different qualities depending on how they are combined.
Okay.
And here's the mind-blowing part. Anaxagoras argued that nothing is ever truly created or destroyed, just rearranged. The seeds are eternal and indestructible.
Right.
This actually foreshadows some very modern scientific ideas about the conservation of matter and energy.
Oh, wow.
This means that at the most fundamental level, nothing is truly lost or gained,
Right.
just transformed. Okay.
Think about it. The atoms that make up your body right now have existed for billions of years,
Right.
cycling through countless forms.
Whoa! That's seriously mind-blowing. Okay,
Okay.
so we've got this infinite soup of seeds with all sorts of qualities,
Right.
and nous is like this cosmic chef
Yeah.
mixing and matching them to create the universe's incredible diversity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing Anaxagoras wasn't the only one trying to explain the world's complexity, right?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
He was part of a vibrant intellectual scene in ancient Greece,
Right.
with many other brilliant minds wrestling with the same fundamental questions.
Yeah.
One of those thinkers was Empedocles, who had his own intriguing theory.
Okay, I'm all ears. Tell me about Empedocles. What was his take on things?
Empedocles believed in the four elements: earth, water, air, and fire.
Okay.
He thought everything in the universe was a combination of these four basic ingredients,
Right.
driven by two opposing forces:
Awesome.
love,
Interesting.
which brings things together,
Okay.
and strife, which tears them apart.
Imagine a cosmic dance where love and strife are constantly pushing and pulling, mixing and separating the elements to create everything we see.
So it's like Anaxagoras is saying the potential for everything is already there in the seeds.
Yes.
While Empedocles is saying it's all about how these four basic ingredients are mixed together.
Exactly. It's a subtle but crucial difference.
Okay.
Anaxagoras' concept of neuron points towards a kind of underlying intelligence guiding the universe,
Right.
whereas Empedocles focused on these fundamental forces driving change.
Right.
But here's the thing. Both of them were grappling with these profound questions about what makes up reality and how change happens,
Yeah.
questions that still resonate today.
It's amazing to think that these ancient philosophers were already wrestling with such fundamental questions.
It is.
What were some of the key differences in their approaches?
One of the biggest distinctions lies in the nature of their fundamental building blocks.
Okay.
Anaxagoras' seeds contain all possible quality,
Right.
whereas Empedocles' elements have fixed qualities.
Now-
This means for Anaxagoras, nous acts upon pre-existing qualities within the seeds.
Right.
Empedocles, on the other hand, envisioned change arising from the interplay of love and strife,
Oh.
constantly mixing and separating these elements with their fixed qualities.
So for Anaxagoras, the potential for everything is already present in the seeds.
Yeah,
While for Empedocles, change comes from how those basic elements are combined.
precisely. It highlights how, even in early philosophy, thinkers were grappling with complex questions about determinism versus indeterminism
Right.
and the very essence of reality.
This reminds me of another ancient Greek thinker who had a theory about atoms,
Yes.
Democritus, right?
Uh-huh.
Wasn't his theory also about tiny particles?
You're exactly right. Democritus also developed an atomic theory,
Right.
but it was quite different from Anaxagoras' seeds.
I'm really curious to hear about Democritus's ideas.
Yeah.
What did he think atoms were like?
Democritus imagined atoms as completely solid, homogeneous particles
Okay.
with no internal qualities. Think of them as tiny, indivisible billiard balls bouncing around in the void.
Okay.
The diversity of the world, according to Democritus, arose solely from the different shapes, arrangements, and motions of these atoms.
So no pre-existing qualities like in Anaxagoras' seeds.
Right.
Everything just emerges from the purely mechanical interactions of these little atoms.
Exactly. No nous needed for Democritus.
Right.
This is a radically different picture of reality than what Anaxagoras proposed.
Right.
For Democritus, everything is ultimately reducible to matter and motion.
This contrast with Democritus really highlights a crucial point about Anaxagoras' now.
Yes.
It suggests that intelligence isn't just a product of material interactions,
Right.
but a fundamental force shaping reality itself.
Yeah.
This has huge implications for how we understand our own consciousness and place in the universe, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And it's fascinating to see how both of these seemingly contradictory theories,
Right.
one driven by nous, the other by pure chance and necessity,
Right.
ultimately influenced the development of modern science.
Right.
Democritus, with his atomism, laid the groundwork for our understanding of atoms and molecules.
Right.
And Anaxagoras, by introducing the concept of unordering principle,
Right.
paved the way for later thinkers to explore the relationship between mind and matter, a question that still fascinates us today.
It's amazing to think that these ideas debated thousands of years ago still resonate with us today.
It really speaks to the enduring power of human curiosity and our relentless pursuit of knowledge. But let's remember, Anaxagoras wasn't working in a vacuum.
Right.
He lived in a time of major intellectual upheaval with many competing schools of thought.
That's right. This brings to mind another group of thinkers,
Yeah,
the Sophists. Didn't they have a very different approach to knowledge and truth?
they did indeed. Imagine a group of sharp, charismatic teachers traveling around ancient Greece, offering their services to ambitious young men who wanted to get ahead.
Okay.
These were the Sophists. And unlike Anaxagoras, who was seeking objective truths about the universe, they were more interested in the art of persuasion and rhetoric, winning arguments,
I see.
and achieving success,
Right.
regardless of whether they were right or wrong.
That sounds a lot like some of the debates we see on social media today,
You're not wrong.
where it's more about winning than finding truth.
But in all seriousness, the
Yeah.
Sophists represented a radical shift in thinking.
Well,
They challenged traditional notions of absolute truth
right.
and argued that knowledge is relative and subjective,
Okay.
dependent on your perspective and how well you can argue your case.
So Anaxagoras, with his quest for universal truths about the universe, must have clashed pretty hard with these guys who were all about bending reality to their will.
It was a fundamental clash of worldviews.
Right.
Anaxagoras sought the underlying principles that govern reality.
Right.
The Sophists, on the other hand, were more interested in how humans construct their own WN versions of reality
Sure,
through
yeah.
language, persuasion, and power dynamics.
Right.
This contrast is incredibly relevant even today. As we're constantly bombarded with different versions of truth
Right.
from the media, politicians, even within our own social circles,
Right.
how do we navigate this complex landscape of information
Right.
and discern what's real?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? So how did Anaxagoras navigate this clash of ideologies? Did he engage with the Sophists directly?
While we don't have detailed accounts of specific interactions, the sources suggest that Anaxagoras remained committed to his pursuit of objective truth, even in the face of the sophist challenges.
Right.
His dedication to understanding the universe based on reason and observation stands in stark contrast to the sophists' focus on rhetoric and persuasion.
It's fascinating to see how these different approaches to knowledge and truth played out in ancient Greece.
It is.
It makes you wonder if their debates had any lasting impact on the development of philosophy.
They absolutely did. And Anaxagoras' ideas, along with those of the sophists, set the stage for later philosophical developments.
All right.
In fact, two of the most influential figures in Western thought, Plato and Aristotle, were deeply engaged with Anaxagoras' work.
Now that you mention it, I remember that Plato's concept of the world of forms,
Right.
that realm of perfect, unchanging ideas,
Yeah.
seems to have some echoes of Anaxagoras' nous.
Yeah.
Is there a connection there?
There's definitely a link. While Plato developed his own intricate metaphysical system,
Right.
the seed of the idea that there's some kind of ordering intelligence behind the universe
Right.
can be traced back to Anaxagoras.
Right.
Plato took this concept and ran with it,
Okay.
exploring the relationship between the world of appearances and the realm of true knowledge.
That's fascinating. And what about Aristotle? Didn't he have some strong critiques of Anaxagoras' theories?
He did indeed. Aristotle, while acknowledging Anaxagoras' contributions, felt that the concept of nous wasn't fully developed.
Okay.
He believed nous should be an active force guiding nature towards a specific goal, not just a passive first mover.
So Aristotle saw a purpose and direction in the natural world.
Yes.
And he believed nous should be the driving force behind that purpose.
Exactly. And even though he was critical, you can still see how Anaxagoras' ideas influenced Aristotle.
Right.
This is how intellectual history often works.
Yeah.
Ideas get built upon, modified, argued with,
Right.
but they rarely just disappear.
Yeah.
They spark new thoughts, new questions,
Right.
and sometimes even new criticisms that lead to further breakthroughs.
It's like a giant conversation that's been going on for centuries.
Precisely. And Anaxagoras was a key figure in starting that conversation.
Speaking of Aristotle's criticisms, I'm curious to delve deeper into the differences between Anaxagoras' nous and Plato's concept of the soul.
Okay.
They both seem to involve intelligence,
Right.
but I'm sensing some crucial distinctions.
You're right to spot that. While both nous and soul involve intelligence, they operate on different levels.
Okay.
Think of it this way.
Yeah.
Nous is like the universal mind,
Okay.
the intelligence permeating the entire cosmos. Okay.
The soul, on the other hand, is your own personal spark of consciousness,
Okay.
that which makes you you.
So it's a difference in scale.
Right.
Nous is cosmic, while the
Yeah.
soul is individual.
Exactly. And there's more.
Okay.
Nous, according to Anaxagoras, is primarily about ordering,
Right.
bringing structure to the chaos of the primordial soup of seeds.
Okay.
It sets things in motion,
Right.
but doesn't necessarily evolve or change.
Right.
Plato's soul, however, is on a journey.
Okay.
It's trapped in the material world
Right.
and longs to return to the realm of perfect forms.
So even though both concepts involve intelligence,
Yes,
they play very different roles in their respective philosophical systems.
they do.
Nous is the cosmic architect,
Yeah,
while the soul is the individual traveler seeking its true home.
beautifully put.
This is all so fascinating. I'm eager to hear more about Aristotle's specific critiques of Anaxagoras' theory, but I think we've covered a lot of ground already.
Yeah.
Should we pick up this thread in the next part of our deep dive? Let's do that. We'll explore Aristotle's critiques in more detail and then delve into the lasting legacy of Anaxagoras' thought.
Sounds good.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back. We're picking up our deep dive right where we left off, exploring the fascinating world of Anaxagoras and the impact of his ideas. Before we jump back into the philosophical ring with Aristotle, I'm curious to hear more about how Anaxagoras' work, alongside other pre-Socratics like Democritus, laid the groundwork for modern science.
I mean, they were thinking about atoms and the nature of reality centuries before we had the tools to actually investigate these things.
It's incredible, isn't it? They were pioneers in a way, paving the path for a new way of understanding the world. Both Anaxagoras and Democritus, despite their different theories, contributed to a monumental shift in thinking, a move away from mythological explanations of the universe towards a more rational, materialist perspective.
So instead of attributing everything to the whims of the gods, they were looking for natural causes, underlying principles that govern the universe. Precisely. They were seeking explanations grounded in observation and reason. This shift in thinking was absolutely crucial for the development of the scientific method, the very foundation of modern science. Think about Democritus with his idea atoms. He provided a framework for understanding matter as composed of tiny indivisible particles. Of course, his atoms were different from how we understand them today, but the basic concept is there.
It's mind-blowing to think that these ancient philosophers were already laying the groundwork for modern physics and chemistry.
And we can't forget Anaxagoras' contribution. His concept of nous introduced the idea of an ordering principle and intelligence behind the seemingly chaotic workings of the universe. While he didn't explain how this nous interacts with matter, he opened up a whole new way of thinking about the relationship between mind and matter, a question that still captivates scientists and philosophers today.
It's like they planted seeds of thought that have continued to blossom and evolve over thousands of years. So let's get back to Aristotle and his critiques. What exactly did he find problematic about Anaxagoras' ideas?
Well, as we touched upon earlier, Aristotle felt that Anaxagoras didn't take the concept of nous far enough. For Aristotle, nous should be an active force constantly guiding nature towards a specific goal. He saw purpose and direction in the natural world, and he believed that nous was the ultimate source of that purpose.
So instead of just setting things in motion like a cosmic watchmaker winding up the universe and letting it tick, Aristotle envisioned nous as more of a constant gardener tending to the universe, guiding its growth.
That's a great analogy. Aristotle believed in a universe where everything had its proper place and purpose. He saw nous as the driving force behind that order and purpose.
But wasn't Aristotle also critical of Anaxagoras' idea of an infinite mixture of seeds?
He was. He argued that this concept led to a formless, chaotic universe where anything was possible. This didn't sit well with Aristotle's view of a more ordered, hierarchical cosmos. He believed that everything had a specific form, a blueprint that determined its nature and potential. The idea of an infinite mixture of seeds with all qualities jumbled together just didn't fit into his vision of a neatly organized universe.
So Aristotle was a fan of structure and purpose, while Anaxagoras seemed more comfortable with the idea of infinite possibilities.
That's a good way to put it. And it's important to remember that these weren't just abstract debates. These contrasting views had profound implications for how they understood the nature of reality, the role of intelligence in the universe, and ultimately the meaning of human existence.
It's fascinating how these philosophical debates from ancient Greece can still spark such lively discussion today. It really speaks to the enduring power of these questions about the nature of reality and our place in the cosmos.
Absolutely. And these debates aren't just about ancient history. They offer a framework for understanding our own modern-day questions and dilemmas. By grappling with the ideas of these early thinkers, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complexity of these issues and the different perspectives that have shaped our understanding of the world.
You know, we've been talking a lot about the intellectual side of Anaxagoras, but I'm curious about the man himself. What was his life like in ancient Greece? What kind of person was he?
Unfortunately, the sources you provided don't offer much detail about his personal life. What we do know is that he was born in Klasmenai, a Greek city in Ionia. This region was known for its intellectual and cultural vibrancy, and it likely played a crucial role in shaping his thinking. He later moved to Athens, a city that was becoming a hub of intellectual activity. It was there that he gained recognition for his philosophical teachings.
To be in Athens during that period, the 5th century BCE, what a time to be alive. The city was buzzing with political debate, artistic innovation, and of course groundbreaking philosophical discussions.
Imagine walking the streets of Athens alongside Socrates, witnessing the construction of the Parthenon, and engaging in passionate debates about the nature of reality. It must have been an incredibly stimulating environment.
It makes you wonder what those conversations were like, what kind of impact Anaxagoras had on the people around him.
Well, there's a famous anecdote about Anaxagoras being accused of impiety for his teachings about the nature of the sun. He claimed that the sun was not a god, but rather a giant fiery rock. This, as you can imagine, didn't go over well with some of the more traditionally minded Athenians, and he was eventually put on trial.
Wow, so he was really challenging the established worldview.
He was. It's a reminder that the pursuit of knowledge and the questioning of traditional beliefs often come with risks. Intellectual freedom has always been a precious and often contested value.
I'm curious, did he get into trouble for his ideas about nous? That seems like a pretty radical concept for the time.
You would think so, wouldn't you? But interestingly, it seems like the Athenians were more bothered by his scientific claims about the sun than his philosophical ideas about nous. Perhaps the notion of a cosmic intelligence wasn't so foreign to them given their rich mythological tradition.
That's a good point. So what ultimately happened to Anaxagoras? Did he live out his days peacefully in Athens, or did his controversial ideas lead to a more dramatic end?
The details of his later life and death are a bit of a mystery. Some accounts suggest that he was forced to flee Athens to escape persecution, while others say he died peacefully in Lampsacus, a city on the Hellespont.
Classic ancient history, always leaving us with some unanswered questions.
Yeah,
But that's part of what makes it so fascinating.
absolutely. It's like piecing together a puzzle with missing pieces, relying on fragments and interpretations to construct a picture of the past. But even with these gaps in our knowledge, we can still appreciate the immense contribution Anaxagoras made to the history of thought. His ideas about matter intelligence and the importance of seeking natural explanations for phenomena continue to resonate with us today.
Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground in this part of our deep dive. I'm ready to delve into the final part where we'll explore the enduring legacy of Anaxagoras' ideas and the questions he left for us to ponder. Welcome back to our final dive into the world of Anaxagoras. This journey through pre-Socratic philosophy has really stretched my brain.
Yeah.
In all the best ways, I'm feeling incredibly energized by all these groundbreaking ideas.
Neat.
And I'm especially curious to explore the lasting legacy of Anaxagoras.
It is remarkable how his work from over 2,500 years ago still resonates in our modern world. We've touched on his influence on Plato and Aristotle, but I think it goes even deeper than that.
I'm all ears. How has he shaped the way we think about the world today, even if we don't always realize it?
Well, think about it. Anaxagoras lived in a time when myths and supernatural explanations dominated people's understanding of the universe. But he dared to challenge that. He insisted on seeking natural explanations for phenomena,
Right.
a radical departure from the conventional wisdom of his time.
He was a true rebel in a way, paving the way for a more scientific worldview.
Exactly. His emphasis on observation logic and the search for underlying principles was a crucial step towards the development of the scientific mindset that we take for granted today. And even though his specific theory of seeds wasn't entirely accurate,
Right.
it foreshadowed the idea of a universe composed of fundamental building blocks.
Which is an idea that lies at the heart of modern physics and chemistry. I mean, atoms are everywhere, literally making up everything we see and touch.
Right.
It's amazing to think that Anaxagoras was already grappling with these concepts thousands of years ago.
It really is a testament to the power of human curiosity and our drive to understand the world around us. And even his concept of nous, while it might seem a bit mystical to us now, introduced the idea that there might be some kind of organizing principle,
Right.
some intelligence at play in the cosmos.
I find that so intriguing. Because even today, with all our scientific advancements, there's still a part of us that wonders if there's something more than just random chance at work in the universe.
Absolutely. Whether it's the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, the exploration of consciousness, or even our fascination with artificial intelligence, we're still wrestling with those same fundamental questions that Anaxagoras was pondering. What is the nature of intelligence? What is its role in the cosmos? And how does it relate to the material world?
It's incredible to think that we're still having these conversations today, building upon the foundation laid by these ancient thinkers.
That's what's so exciting about engaging with these philosophical ideas. It's not just about learning about the past.
Right.
It's about understanding the present and shaping the future of thought. We're all part of this ongoing conversation, adding our own voices to the chorus.
I love that image, a chorus of voices spanning thousands of years, all grappling with these essential questions.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that you're part of something much bigger than yourself.
Exactly. And that brings us back to Anaxagoras and his enduring legacy. I think the most important thing to remember about him is this. He dared to question the conventional wisdom of his time. He wasn't afraid to challenge the status quo.
Right.
And in doing so, he opened up new ways of thinking about the universe and our place in it.
His courage and intellectual curiosity are truly inspiring. It makes me think about our own lives and the areas where we might be holding on to outdated beliefs or assumptions. Maybe it's time for us to channel a little bit of Anaxagoras and dare to ask those difficult questions, to seek new perspectives, and to push the boundaries of our understanding.
I couldn't agree more. Anaxagoras' legacy is a powerful reminder that true intellectual progress requires courage, curiosity, and a willingness to embrace the unknown. And who knows, maybe by following in his footsteps, we too can make discoveries that will shape the world for generations to come.
That's a truly inspiring thought to end on. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage you, dear listener, to continue exploring these ideas, delve deeper into the world of pre-Socratic philosophy, and see where your own curiosity leads you. There's a whole universe of fascinating ideas out there waiting to be discovered. And that's it for this deep dive. We'll be back soon with another thought-provoking topic. Till then, keep those minds curious and keep diving deep.